Okay, we're going to back up the trailer to actually connect. As you can see on the screen, you've got a black line that shows you more or less what you're centered on. And on my trailer ball, I've actually painted the coupler yellow. Makes it a little bit easier to stand out against the black frame. So here we are, we're coming up on the ball. Almost there, almost there. Oh, a little to one side. And under the ball. It's that simple in practice. As you can see, I actually came forward a little bit, or came back a little bit too far. So what I'm going to have to do is roll forward an inch or two, and that'll let it settle on there easily. I could also, if I wanted to, go ahead and lower it and try to work the trailer back on the ball. But right now I am on chocks and I'm on an incline, and I really don't want to do that. All right, that's a lot better. First thing to do is make sure that your coupler slide is all the way back. In this case, I've also made sure that my wheels are chocked on both sides, because the last thing you want to do is have your trailer start to roll away from you. First things first, come up to the jack, and you're going to want to retract the jack. Since this is a weight distributing hitch, I'm going to have to stop and do some extra activity, but watch as it goes onto the ball. You'll see the weight going onto the truck a little bit. That's going to move the trailer frame enough to let the ball pop into place, just like that. Now when it gets to that point, you want to stop, and you want to put the coupler lock in place, and now we're going to start working on the actual weight distributing hitch portion. Okay, we've got the ball on the hitch. I'm going to go ahead and put in this torsion bar. There's a pin that goes in the top and one that goes in the bottom. You have a sticker that sits on the top. So put the top pin in, swing it a little bit, and then rotate back so that it sits on top of the cam. Then you want to pull this chain up. Now on this hitch, I use 5 links. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to pick up the bar, and I'm going to put it on the pin in the saddle for the chain. See, that's pretty secure. Next, take my pipe section. Here's my pipe. It's going to go onto the saddle. And this is the fun part. You got to lift up. I use my legs, and there's a lot of weight, but since it's sitting on the jack, most of the weight is still on the jack, and you're able to snap that up. Now, do not let go of the bar. What you want to do is continue to put some pressure on that, take your safety pin, slide it into the holes on the saddle, drop it into place. At that point, you can let go of the bar and take it off. You've now done the hard part. Next, we got to do the chains. You'll see that there's a hook on the inside, or a hole on the inside of the hitch. You want to take your chain, and real simple, just like that. Now, for the other chain, what you'll want to do is do a couple of loops this way, so that you've got a little bit more of a solid platform if you do drop your hitch, for your hitch and your drawbar to drop onto. And then we're going to hook the other side. Most important part is your brake safety cable. This you want to loop up and under the frame of the hitch, and then we're going to put a carabiner on it to hold it. So I've looped that around the tube of the frame, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to link this. You don't want to use a cheap carabiner. You want to get something that's going to at least have a couple 100 pounds of rating, so that when that pulls tight, it'll pull the breakaway switch out if you do actually have a separation between your trailer and your frame. Last thing left to do is to hook up the 7-pin wiring, which I'm going to step over for a second. Take the 7-pin, it goes into this receptacle on the truck. There's a flat end and a flat pocket that slides it all nicely into place. You are now hooked up to your brakes for the truck, and the last thing to do is to put in your coupler safety pin. The safety pins is important because you don't want this to actually come loose and allow the ball to separate. So slide the pin in. I use a D pin, flip it over like that. You can also, if you want to keep things nicely organized, you can drop your cable inside the D here. And if you notice, I got an extra set of connectors. This is for my backup camera. I have a wired backup camera. And I also will tuck that in there and then bring over my connections for the camera to the truck. I don't have my electrical tape in hand right now, but I will then tape the connectors on that so that it stays secure. And there we have everything connected up. Last thing to do, we're going to retract the jack. You can see I use blocks to give me a little bit of extra height. We're going to retract the jack all the way up until you hear a clicking noise, at which point you know it is all the way up. And you can see that the hitch itself is now taking the weight and everything's been transferred over to the truck. All right, I saved you the agony of waiting for the hitch going all the way up. Last thing to do is to remove my cribbing from underneath the jack itself. And the most important thing to do, remove the chocks, because it'll be a little bit difficult driving over those. Last thing to do is a visual inspection. My breakaway cable, it's there. My chains, they are connected. My pin, or my plug is connected. My other plug is connected. My safety pin is in the coupler. The coupler is seated correctly. And I have a safety pin on each of my weight distributing saddles. Check my doors and that my chocks are removed. We're now ready to go.